first step in living a traditional Western Christian lifestyle is to get yourself oriented to the year itself. As wives and mothers, a lot of you are who are watching this, it kind of falls upon us to structure and create the holidays for our children and any special events for our children, birthdays, or even the change in the seasons, buying them new clothes and stuff like that. That usually falls upon us to do that. This is what I have found that helps me immensely in keeping my priorities straight for the year, like prioritizing the holidays that I'm really gonna go all out for, and the ones that can just, be a last minute thing and it's not gonna bother me if it's not done very well. So since this is our first series on living a traditional Western Christian lifestyle, sounds so long, I wish I had a shorter phrase for it, we are going to focus on the two major holidays of Christmas and Easter, and just this year we're going to work on making those two holidays the best that we can for our kids and our families and our homes. That way we don't lose focus by trying to do everything. Like, you don't have to, so don't worry about the other holidays if you're overwhelmed by thinking you have to do everything right off the bat the first year. I hope that is a relief to you. It's going to be fun, because I think personally when I started simplifying and just breaking the year down according to this way I'm going to show you, it really helped me orient myself to the year and its changing seasons, so that I had a heads up for when I needed to get coats or buy new tights and things like that, that I wasn't doing it all last minute, like, oh, the snow already fell and now we need snowsuits. It's like, no, we have snowsuits and then the snow falls. So it has really helped me just keep ahead of the seasons and ahead of the holidays and ahead of the birthdays as well. I want to jump right in. Let's do it. First things you're going to need for this, and I've already done this for myself yesterday, so I will show you clips from what I did yesterday as we go. But this is what I use. This is the calendar for 2023 from Angelus Press. I will link it in the description. You can still get one. And we are starting in January right here. So you're gonna need this. I also have a planner. Now, this is just for me because what is it? It has, not only does it have the full monthly calendar, but it has the weekly ones too, and there's a lot like this. I'll link this one too. I like this because here I can put notes on like things, to-do lists, things that need done and all that I really couldn't fit or justify putting onto just a calendar. And I really don't like writing on the wall. So this thing's on my wall. I like to look at it and see it, but I prefer to write on something that can sit on a table in front of me. So I know it looks like overkill, but this is how I do it. So this is what I use to help keep myself organized. It's a planner, just a regular planner. Like I said, I will link it in the description. The other thing I use, this is my notes for the year, okay? I'm a note taker. This is my binder for the year. And there are 4 sections in it. It starts with spring. Summer, autumn, winter. That's it. Summer, autumn, winter. Then I have some loose leaf paper in each of those sections. And the first section is spring, and I have when it begins, when is the first day of spring, and when does it end. I list off the Ember Days, and then I mark the Ember Days in my planner, because my secular planner does not have the Ember Days in there, so I go look it up. Okay, we're still technically in winter here in January, obviously. Spring doesn't begin until March 21st. So this is what I do for the whole year. I lay out what are the Ember Days, what are the holy days of obligation, and when Lent and Advent start and end, so that I have a sense for when they're coming, so they don't surprise me, because those are the big ones that it used to always happen to me that it'd be like, oh my gosh, tomorrow's Ash Wednesday. How do I have nothing prepared spiritually for this, or food wise, or traditionally, or I don't have any traditional foods made for it. I don't even know what to do. So this is how I stay on top of that and stay ahead of that. So after I write down the Ember Days and I write them in my planner, let's see, I have them written down in my planner. I write down what I want, what usually happens on Holy Saturday and Easter Sunday. What usually happens, and then I'll throw in some like aspirational things that I would like to see happen this year. So I'll say, you know, we always do the traditional Slovak dinner at 2 p.m. with family, and then with the blessed baskets, and I'm not in charge of that, so I don't have to really worry about that, but I have to show up and be ready for that. There's always an Easter egg hunt with the family afterwards, and then we do Easter egg dyeing. So I forgot smocks last year, and the girls got Easter egg dye on themselves, which isn't a big deal, but I just thought, make sure I remember that for next year. This is what this is for. Writing down those little things that you will forget by the time it comes around the next year, so that when you look back and refresh your memory on it, you go, oh, okay, so that's what I did in 2022. This is what I wanted to do, so this is what I'm going to try to do in 2023. It's it's a big help. Okay, so that's how that spring is done for you right there. So you can go ahead and do that yourself. Pause the video, look up your Ember Days, write them in your planner, or if you use your cell phone's calendar, put them in there so that you know when the Ember Days are coming. And I will talk more about the Ember Days when I do videos on the Ember Days, but they are very traditional, and they are the traditional way of ushering in the different seasons with the appropriate blessings and things for those seasons. So it's nice to know when they are. You also have to fast and partially abstain on those days if you're following the traditional calendar. So it's one of those things that affects your food and what you're eating. It's something good to know. All right. What I also, let's see. So we have those notes taken care of. Now we just go on to summer. When does summer begin? I'll just Google this, like, when does summer begin? June 21st. Okay. And then I like to know does it actually begin on June 21st? Like, when can I send the kids out to go playing in the sprinklers? And last year, I said it begins closer to May 15th. I was able to send the kids outside to play in the sprinklers around May 15th. So wonderful. I have a general idea of when I'm going to need swimsuits and that sort of thing. Okay, when does it end? September 22nd. Liturgically, what were some liturgies that I needed, that I would like to be prepared for? Corpus Christi procession in the choir, that was a big one. So I'm not in the choir right now, but that was a big one, June 16th. And then Ember Days, of course. The Ember Days. So mark down your Ember Days for the summer. They are 5/31. Let's see, what's 5? May 31st is Ember Day, and June 2nd and June 3rd. Okay, so write those in your calendar wherever you need to. I also wrote down the Feast of the Sacred Heart and the Feast of the Assumption, because the Assumption is a holy day of obligation. So I wrote that down. Not because I'm going to be doing anything special for that day in particular, but just because it's a holy day of obligation, so obviously I need to make sure I get to church on that day. I also marked for the summer which week is family reunion week for my family. So I marked that down because I happen to know it. So I put it in there. If you happen to know it, put it in your calendar now. So moving on to autumn. Autumn begins on September 22nd, and in 2021 that was accurate. Let's see, was that accurate last year? Yes, I say it was accurate in 2022. Okay, so autumn really begins September 22nd. Must be good leaves. Leaves starting to change right around then. Okay, and Ember Days for autumn are, what are they this year? September 20th, 22nd, and 23rd. So right on the money as far as the change in seasons are coinciding perfectly with the Ember Days. Sometimes they don't coincide perfectly, so that's nice. I also have All Saints Day written down because it's a holy day of obligation. Thanksgiving, obviously, I don't host Thanksgiving, so it's not one I need to plan for. I just need to make sure I bring my side that I usually bring. And then the Immaculate Conception is a holy day of obligation. And then I wrote down when Advent begins. It's a short Advent this year, and that's important because if you wait until Advent to start preparing for Christmas stuff, you won't have much time, is what I've discovered, because unless you're rushing through the whole thing, I'm very slow at accumulating the things I need, so I have to start a little earlier. Okay, so Advent, December 3rd, is late. It's later than it was this year. This year we had a long Advent. Last year we had a short Advent. And notice that Advent starts during autumn. So that threw me off this year because I had my Advent decorations put in the same box as my Christmas decorations. And then when Advent was the weekend after Thanksgiving, I didn't have access to my Jessie tree and Advent wreath right away. So we didn't get started on that for a couple weeks. Okay, so I have now moved those to the autumn decoration bin. So the Advent wreath and the Jessie tree will go into the same bin that I put my autumn decorations, my fall decorations in, because that's what'll be available, easy to get to during that time. So that was just one thing, once again, that these notes really helped me pay attention to. Did we write down? Yes, we wrote down the Ember Days. All right, moving on to winter. Winter begins December 21st, ends March 20th. So we are still in winter. Now, I said that this past year in 2022, it seemed that winter started right after Thanksgiving because of the snowfall. So it started feeling like winter right around Thanksgiving. And that helped me remember to have their winter coats and winter boots and everything out in time. So the Ember Days for this year's winter are December 20th, December 22nd, and December 23rd. So go ahead and write those in your calendar and just mark them and mark when Advent starts. Okay. Now also in winter, I write down what we do Christmas Eve and what we do Christmas morning, and also the aspirational sides of that, like what we didn't get around to this year, but what I'd like to remember for next year. It can be something as simple as eggnog. I forgot about the eggnog this year. I love eggnog. I would have loved to have it, so I put it in my notes so that next year I can remember to get the eggnog, hopefully. That is what I do just to get oriented. And I put a note for myself that I put the Jessie tree and Advent wreath in the fall storage container to remind myself to put it away there. Okay. It's also a good time, if you want, to write down which Advent calendars or ways you are keeping track of Advent that you're going to use. I have like a dozen, and the girls want to use all of them, but I'm thinking I'm just going to use always the Jessie tree and then like one other Advent wreath. Otherwise, not Advent wreath, Advent calendar. Otherwise, we have to go through a million Advent calendars, and maybe it's a little too much for me to handle. So, okay, so we did that. So I also wrote down when I ordered my Christmas cards. This past year, I ordered them in October on Amazon. All right, when did I order them the last time? Did I write that down? Yes, I ordered Christmas cards in November the last time. They came in plenty of time. I usually do my Christmas cards during the Christmas season, so I don't even worry about sending them out until after Christmas Day because it's still the Christmas season. It's not because I'm late. But I have learned this year that if you wait until after Christmas to get Christmas stamps, you are going to be out of luck. So now I know you need to buy the Christmas stamps after Thanksgiving, so I got to write that down. I'll make sure I get the Thanksgiving. I make sure I get the Christmas stamps right after Thanksgiving. Otherwise, I'm going to be using flowers or something for my Christmas cards, which isn't the end of the world, but you know, it would just be nice to have the Madonna and Child. All right, so that is how I get oriented for my year. So now I am fully oriented for the year. I have an idea of when Lent is. I have an idea when Advent is. I've looked at my notes from last year. I have a sense right now, because it's winter time, of what my girls might need for next year as far as clothes go. I got them pretty well set up this winter, so there might just be some filling in the gaps next winter. So I put that in my notes as well. Okay, so now that we have an idea of when the seasons change, go ahead and also mark any special occasions, any birthdays, anniversaries, and just for immediate family. Like, don't go crazy, but you know, just if you need that reminder of when they are, I have those automatically put in my phone calendar so that I get an alarm the week before. It's very handy. So I highly recommend that. If you use your phone's calendar, which I like to use it for doctor's appointments and things because I can put it in there right away. That's just a side note. Now, going along with prioritizing your holidays. This year, if you're following this channel, we are just going to focus on Christmas and Easter. Focus on making Christmas and Easter very wonderful and awe-inspiring for our children, and just we want it to bring a lot of warmth and love and connectedness and joy. We want to really build up those holidays for our family. And those are the two holidays that are the most important holidays in the Christian year. And that's why they are preceded by such long fasting and abstinence times. So that's why we need to know when Lent and Advent are, so that we can really prepare spiritually for them as well, not just physically. But here we're talking about cultural stuff, the actual decorations and the foods you're going to eat and things like that. We're going to go over and the clothes you're going to wear for these occasions and things like that, so that you can really live a traditional Western Christian lifestyle that makes you feel happy. Okay, makes you feel happy that you're glorifying God because you're making these days so special. Okay, so to go along with that, I would like you to, if you don't already have a Pinterest, or maybe you collect clippings from magazines, but if you don't do that, get a Pinterest and set up a board for Christmas and set up a pin board for Easter, and start pinning how you envision your Christmas and Easter to look. How do you want to look when you get your family in the car for Easter morning mass, for Christmas morning mass? What are the details that you want in that? You really have to start envisioning what specifically you want, because it's so easy to let it go and not pay attention, and then the night before you're just throwing on whatever, and it doesn't feel special. It doesn't feel like you've really made it a special day. It's just you're wearing the same clothes that you'd always wear, and you didn't have any clean tights, and you didn't get your hair done, and the kids didn't get baths, and it that can make you feel really lousy and really behind, and it can really ruin the day from a mother's perspective. It can really weigh on you. So that's why I'm saying start these Pinterest boards. I want you to pin foods that you feel inspired to make, or that maybe you would wish to have on Easter if you are hosting, or if you are just bringing a side. Start thinking about what side you'd like to bring. What kind of events do you want to do an Easter egg hunt with your kids? How are you going to carry that out? What kind of stuff do you need to do an Easter egg hunt? You can't just do that on the fly all the time. Like, maybe you could, but it would be stressful. That just adds another layer of stress. So if you can get the Easter egg stuff figured out beforehand, get some people to help you stuff the eggs beforehand, just maybe come together with some other families to do it together from church. That way it's a little more fun. You start thinking about it now. So start thinking about what foods. It's very traditional to have roast lamb for Easter. There are a lot of other traditional foods from different European cultures that you can look at for Easter, but roast leg of lamb is pretty common, simply because Christ is, the lamb who was sacrificed, and that's the Passover symbolism there. So it would be a very good idea. That's why I suggest, that's what we're going to go over this week. This year. We will go into roasting leg of lamb, roasting roast beef for Christmas dinner. If you've never roasted roast beef, we'll do that as well. So we will that's the direction I'm going to be going this year. So brainstorm, get all your ideas, what kind of outfits you like. There's so many cute pictures from, vintage pictures of like moms with their little girls all in Easter dresses with gloves and hats and all that stuff. And it's just so cute. And maybe, honestly, it's hard to find all that stuff now. It's really hard to find hats and gloves and cute little pea coats and the little socks with ruffles. It's hard to find those on the cheap or at your regular store, at your regular mall or whatever. It's not as easy to find now, so it's important to start thinking about these things early. We will revisit these ideas. We'll revisit this board, this little Pinterest board you've made for Easter and the Pinterest board you made for Christmas, and the ideas you've come up with and thought about. We'll revisit them around Lent and around Easter with separate videos going more deeply into those. So if you follow along, I will be giving you some ideas for what to do in that respect. I'll give you some direction there if you would like it. Okay, so I think that is all for this video. We just wanted to put our year in order. So now the only things you need to be thinking about in the back of your mind are what do I want my Easter and Christmas to look like, to feel like, to make it special. And when the Ember Days are, they'll show up in your calendar. And now you just need to be using your calendar consistently every day, every week, checking the days, at least looking to check the days, if not, just paying attention, don't just go sit it on a shelf and forget about it. You got to keep it out somewhere where you can see and where you'll use it. That's why I like to use the planner for like my daily tasks. That way I use it every day, so it doesn't just collect dust, So yeah, that's why I like this planner, because then I can write what chores I want to do that day, or what I want to get to, and I can check them off. So that's one way of using your calendar every day, so it doesn't get unused. Okay, so I hope that was helpful. Stay tuned for the next video in this series, and where we will continue to delve into how to live a traditional Christian Western lifestyle, how to create that culture in your home that is based on the Western culture which we have received, that is the Christian Western culture, not the secular liberal Western culture or anything like that. We're going back to our roots and trying to put our culture back in order, build up our culture one home at a time, one family at a time. And hopefully this will help ease the burden and stress of trying to have everything figured out when you are maybe new to living a traditional Western Christian lifestyle. So thank you for following along. Thank you for subscribing. If you've watched this far, definitely subscribe. Turn on notifications to get notified of when future videos will be released. I will be releasing the videos in the series every Sunday, and on Saturdays I'll be releasing a weekly vlog that just shows you snippets of my week, gives you an update of what's going on in my week. And I hear little babies crying for me, so I'm gonna let you go. Gotta get going. Have a wonderful day.